Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, I want to introduce or talk about the journal entry, how we can use the journal entry in the QuickBook, right? And from where we can find out this one. First of all, how you can find out, of course, you can go under the company panel, and in this section, you can find out make general journal entry. I think it is also available under the accountant. You can find it from here as well, right? So let me check out whether do we have another this one or not. Yes, we have another this one as well. Make general journal entries. So either from here or otherwise other than the company panel, you can use it. But I'm generally using from this section, it is fine. So both of options are the same. So click on make general journal entry. This is the window that you can see. First of all, you have to provide the date on which date you made the transaction and the transaction entry, right? For example, entry number 1, entry number 2, number 3, number so on. This is a kind of reference that we use it. And then under the account, select which account is debit or which account is credit. Any account which is debit, record, for example, the balance on the debit, and any account which become credit, record it as balance on the credit. If several accounts are debit, first of all, record debit accounts and then record the credit account. In the memo, of course, like manual system of accounting, you can mention some narration, right? From where this transaction come from, right? So you can mention some narration or explanation regarding the transaction, the short or the summary of the transaction. And in this case, you can mention some names, for example, if the transaction which you made is belong to your customer, so to select name of the customer, right? If the transaction which you made is belong to account receivable, belong to which account? Account receivable, right? So for example, you select account receivable. In this one, of course, account receivable is belong to customer, so select it as belong to which customer. Or for example, if for example the transaction is belong to account payable, so in the name you have to select the name of the vendors, belong to which vendors. If it is for example belong to, we can say payroll or something else, so you have to select for example name of the employees. So if name is required, so please select the name. Might be name of the employee, might be name of the owner, might be name of the vendor, or might be name of someone else. So if name is required, please provide that one as well, right? And of course, for example, whether it is billable or not. If you select the customer, see, for example, a particular customer, then you can say, for example, whether it is billable on the customers or not billable, right? So you can specify that one as well. So this is the information regarding the journal entry in the last month. So you can find out how many entries are made. For example, let us see today's entry. Do we have an entry? No, right? If you go for the last month, you may find out some kinds of entry for this one itself. So this is the window for journal entry. Let us say, for example, this was the window that we use for the for this one for the journal entry. Or let us say something else, for example, let us say we made a journal entry, let us say some expenses incurred in the business and we want to record this one. Let us say training expenses. Training expenses was amount of, for example, 10,000. It's debit, and let us say I have paid this one to Razidi Bank and the amount is of course 10,000. Suppose you have recorded this one, right? Save and close. If you want to go back to find out the previous transaction, of course, click on the previous to find out this one. If let us say you made a mistake in this one, you want to reverse the transaction. It means mistakenly you have debited the account of training and you have credited to your account of, or bank account, or we can say in this case, Cobble bank account. If you want to reverse this one, in this case, you can click on the reverse, right? If you reverse, again, your training account become credit and your bank account become debit. Why this is so? This things or this reverse happen usually if you mistakenly debited the account of training and credited the account of the bank. So we want to reverse the entry and again save and close. Now if you go for the bank, so there is no effect. Previously it decreased and now again it is increased. Now let us check some use of the general journal entry, why we use this one in the QuickBook, right? These are some use of general journal entry in the QuickBook. Some reasons to use general journal entry or journal entry. I have just pointed out 9 points. Then you can see the explanation of each these points in the next coming videos. First of all, setting up opening balance in accounts. If there is any opening balance from the previous year, you can record in this one. Reassigning accounts. If you mistakenly assign the accounts, you can check this one. How this is so, we will explain. Correcting account assignment, right? For example, instead of debiting expenses, instead of debiting salary account, you have debited some other accounts. You can correct it. Reassigning jobs. If you want to transfer balance from one job to another job. Reassigning class. If you want to assign the class for different people, for different products, and so on. Depreciating assets. If you want to take depreciation of the assets at the end of the year, usually we can do it. Recording transaction for a payroll service. Yes, as we know, we could not use QuickBook for the payroll services properly. So what we can do, we can manage our payroll somewhere else, might be in the Excel, might be somewhere else. But finally, the result, how much we pay for the employees and how much we consider as tax. So that one can be entered in the QuickBook through the journal entry. And it when recording year-end transactions. At the end of there are several transactions. For example, adjusting the outstanding expenses, prepaid expenses, income received in advance or outstanding income, and several other adjustments regarding stocks, regarding inventory. All those things can be made with general journal entry. And 9.1, recording owner's contribution. If owner contribute to the business, maybe owner contribute in the form of cash, may owner contribute in the form of non-cash. So all these things can be managed with the QuickBook. Or for example, recording home office expenses. What do you mean by this one? Let us say owner of the business has a building or taken a building on rent basis for the residence as well as for the office purpose. So the rent of this flat or this building partially will be charged on the business and partially will be charged on the owner itself. So how we can manage that one? And of course, a drawing made by owner. If there is any drawing by owner, so how we can manage this one with the QuickBook itself. So we will explain this each of these parts in the coming videos, right?